This is the Eastside Liquor Halftime Podcast.
Oh, intermission.
No, it's halftime.
Stop by 9390 Rogers Avenue for the best liquor, beer, and wine deals in the River Valley.
Arkansas wins the national championship.
Check out Eastside Liquor on Facebook for weekly specials.
Say goodbye. Darren McFadden, 80 yards, touchdown.
Subscribe to the Hit That Line Podcast Network. Brought to you by Breeden RV Center. Breeden RV Center, family owned and operated, a no-pressure, laid-back atmosphere, and always home of the free maintenance for life.
Yeah, the atmosphere is lit, and the atmosphere is ripe with the scent of unworn merchandise inside Alumni Hall on College Avenue in Fayetteville. It's right next door to the Whole Foods. You can come out and see us for the next couple of hours for a live edition, meaning in your eyes edition of Halftime today. Phil Elson, Drew Barrett on location, Matty T holding down the fort in the fort. And, it's got that, those...
It's something about clothing stores that this just has that very pleasant smell.
Yeah.
And makes you want to buy stuff.
A little different than the new car smell, but you know what that new sweatshirt smell is like,
course,
right? And we're getting,
yeah.
I guess eventually soon we'll get into sweatshirt weather. We're not there yet.
Eventually,
but
right?
It's on the way. At some point, this is the place to get them for the weekend and for any time moving forward. Plus,
I'm going to have to buy me a shirt or something while I'm in here.
You need to, of course,
the smell's getting me. I got to get something. I got to trade something for cash.
Well, the other aspect here is you got to continue to add to your collection of Razorback gear because you're wearing a hat right now.
Wearing the new hat.
Looks like you got your Vineyard Vines Razorback colored shirt on.
Red Vineyard Vine on that the missus got me for my birthday.
Now you've no excuses if the missus is buying you stuff. Now you got to waste your own money on this. I have photographic evidence of Drew Barrett actually wearing a hog hat.
I did. I had my first experience of putting on the hog on top of the head. It was actually a lot more comfortable than I thought it would be.
Well, it's padded around the side. It's not like it's a crown of thorns for crying out loud.
Well, when you see other people wearing it, you can't really see the padding. So I just thought it was a piece of plastic. I was like, man, that's some diehard fans. Just having that plastic hog on their head throughout a 4-hour game. But it was pretty comfy.
Can I make an admittance for you here?
What's that?
And either I've forgotten it, and I don't think I have, even though I forget plenty of things right now these days. I don't think I've ever worn the hog hat.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've done something in my 3 months of living here, so you have not done in 20-plus years.
That's right, and 7 seasons of being a part of the broadcast.
That's going to have to change. We're going to have to get one of those hog hats back out here so you can try it on.
Well, I'll say this: if they make one that's big enough for your head, it'll fit me. 877-377-6963. If you can get with us for the next couple of hours here on Halftime, calls and texts. We'll be joined by Aaron Torres, bottom of this hour. And we have Gino Bell, one of my partners for the Learfield pregame show. And, of course, Gino's on the sidelines during the game and a former Razorback and somebody that I think we're playing it in the open these days.
Yeah, I was about to say, is Gino it's lit on here?
He's the one who had it lit. Yeah, that's exactly right. He taught Rick Schaefer some of the Is that today's lingo, or was that like 20 years ago when Gino was still in his 20s?
That's today's lingo, yeah. Okay. I mean, lit is something that's
off the chain was the one that was more his lingo.
That's more of like back in the 90s or before my time.
We don't do chains anymore.
I've heard off the chain, but that's more of like a throwback term. Lit's been in my lifetime. I want to say lit's probably first time I heard it probably I was in college, so 2014 to 2017.
Does your generation do bags of chips? You remember that one? Did you ever hear that one? All that in a bag of chips?
I've heard it, but I've never said it.
You might throw in your favorite brand if you want to, but we don't need to do that.
Like, she's all that in a bag of Lay's?
Well, that might have a different connotation, but I think a bag of Doritos.
Okay.
Bag of potato chips.
Well, I like Lay's. You said to throw in one of your favorite bags of chips, and the first one that came to mind was I really like original Lay's.
I got to remember the softballs that I serve up for you every once in a while. And I mean, they got it all here at Alumni Hall. Literally everything. Everything for the Razorback fan. There's absolutely nothing that you should have in your life that you can't get here at Alumni Hall. I mean, they've got a Razorback on it.
Not only do they have all the clothes, the hog hats, they've got signs, decorations, they've got mugs, bowls, cups. I mean, you can get your entire kitchenware right here. I'm pretty sure there's got to be a frying pan in here somewhere, too, with the logo on it.
Stephanie's the store manager. She just laughed. I think you might have just picked the one thing they might not have. Yeah. Is there licensed cookware for Arkansas Athletics?
I'm sure there is.
It would make sense.
They're serving dishes, so you got to take it from the Arkansas pot and pan into the Arkansas serving dish.
Let's just get a sponsorship with Viking.
Might
who
as
makes
well.
those awesome ranges.
Yeah.
Would work great. One thing, I mean, you and I don't have to worry about this too much. Media members don't have to bring in bags that
No.
are clear.
No, I get to bring in my backpack tomorrow.
They do take a look inside the bag.
Just to make
a little
sure.
more than just a cursory look. They'll make you show the laptop, show
Yeah.
the iPad, and they're looking for anything sharp in there, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
So,
But once they really get to know you, it's more of just like they take the ruler and
I honestly feel like media members could roll themselves into the stadium in a duffel bag,
Oh, we
and they
could.
would be just fine with it. But fans, on the other hand, you got a whole different story to worry about here.
gotta
You got
get
to
the
have your
clear
clear
bags.
bags. And they got all the clear bags here, too, of various sizes.
and styles.
Yes. Some might call one of them a clutch. Another might be a handbag. And another might be actually just the size of a good old-fashioned purse. All with Razorback logos on it. And they'll never even have to open up this. They can just see right through it. So good. And with soccer starting SEC play tonight, they got soccer scarves. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff here. That's going on at Alumni Hall.
And I'm sure I will leave here with more than one T-shirt because I told you yesterday I want one of the simple just Arkansas with the Nike swoosh shirts, but that Must Bust shirt that I'm looking at over there, I mean that thing is pretty cool, and I've seen Eric Musselman give them out and people taking pictures with them, so I feel like to be one of the cool kids here in Northwest Arkansas, I have to have a Must Bust shirt, and I want to at least pretend that I'm cool. I want people to think I am.
Did you see the video, speaking of the Must Bust, did you see the video of Devo Davis dunking on the frat boys?
Yes, I did.
Now, I don't know what fraternity that was.
It was SAE from my short little research. I'm glad it wasn't a Sid McKay house where all that happened.
What a scene that was, too. I mean, all right, so I was in a fraternity for the 2 years I was I was a student at Indiana. And plenty of the basketball players came around for parties. They didn't come over to play basketball. In fact, Bobby Knight was the head coach of Indiana then. I don't think he would have taken too well to that.
Oh, I don't think you would have either. I know back at my alma mater, we had plenty of guys that came to the parties and everything. But we did have, what's his name? Not Boogie Ellis. It was, I cannot remember this guy's name. Only played there at the University of Memphis for 2 years. He was a Tubby Smith guy, but him and... Man,
You don't have to remember the name.
Yeah, I'm just forgetting names. They came over and shot basketball with us one time, and
Did they dunk on you? Did they absolutely
dunked on some of
destroy you
my,
the way Devo did to
yes,
these fraternity boys?
They dunked on some of my fraternity brothers, and they played a couple games, and one of them looked at me. He's like, "You got next?" I was like, "Heck no." I would like to have a career after this and not have a video of me getting absolutely destroyed, for one. And two, I suck at basketball. I'm really not that good. I play, every other week with Ty and some of his friends, and I'm pretty much a liability. They invite me out to be nice.
Could you beat Ty in a game of horse?
No.
Because that's the one thing I know he says he can do is shoot.
He can shoot when he can shoot when somebody's guarding him. When he's wide open, it's Brick City, and he cannot make a layup to save his life.
All right, so, takeaways from Devo Davis versus all of SAE. They have a halfway decent court.
They do. It's actually very nice.
It's a nice court. That was nicer than my fraternity's court.
A lot nicer than my
The thing about
fraternity
the court that I played on, it was all concrete, and it was nicer and cleaner than the floors inside the
Oh, yes.
house.
Well, your
That's
feet
the
did,
kind
your
of-
feet didn't stick to the concrete,
That's exactly
did it?
right. That's exactly right. The rain would wash it away. I don't
Exactly.
think anybody ever cleaned anything there. So, yeah, that's a nice basketball court. I got no sense whatsoever whether or not those boys can play basketball, but I do know that a couple of those guys were pretty brave
Yes,
to try to
go
up and defend Devo dunking on him the way he did.
and just get absolutely posterized.
Demolished. Now, here's the other aspect to this, too. Like, if you're going up to try to block somebody who's dunking and go up strong, you've got to be ready to deliver a hit while maybe take one at the same time.
And do you want to be the guy on campus
Don't.
that takes the hit or gives the hit and Devo's out?
Don't be the guy.
Nobody wants to be that guy. You got
put
to
an
transfer.
elbow in the nose of potentially the most valuable player for this team moving forward.
Or you try to go up and get posterized, and on your way down, you come down before him, and he steps on your foot and twists his ankle, or you hit him wrong, and he tweaks a knee. It's cool. It's a cool video, but at the same time, a lot of things could go wrong.
Coming up next week, it's the folks at Delta, although that's a sorority. I need to pick a
that's
fraternity.
Tri-Del.
We're gonna have Brady Slavens hitting batting practice off the pitchers from Fiji.
Okay.
And maybe KJ Jefferson can throw deep routes to the guys from the house of all the caddies that work at the golf courses. It just seems weird. It's on Instagram for those who want to. I think Devo's the one who tweeted it out or Instagrammed it out, whatever it is.
I saw it on
it.
Aaron Torres' website.
Yeah. Don't defend Devo Davis hard. It doesn't matter. Like, he's going to dunk on you anyway. But, I mean, the school kind of needs him. The team kind of needs him for this year.
A bit.
All right, right back.
Well, it's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the football season. As always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. You can get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL Mega Contest, and the world's largest $200,000 NFL Survivor Contest is open now at BetOnline. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Now, back to the podcast.
This is so much fun. This feels like old school department store window radio.
I know, we're right in the window.
I mean, we cleared out a little spot. I mean, we're kind of staring right into the backside of these
mannequins.
These two mannequins.
Just hope I'm not too distracted.
They were so rude. They just insist on being in our way.
I know.
We're
Do they
live
come
at
alive at night?
I hope not. They weren't. Now, I was in here before the store opened, and these were still frozen. So, yeah, and none of them, as far as I know, are Kim Cattrall. So try another store for the living mannequins.
What movie is that?
That's Mannequin.
That's Mannequin.
Movie Mannequin.
I guess I'll have
Write
to
that
add it
one
to
down for next week for halftime homework.
Add it to the list. But I think next break I'm actually going to get up in the spare window where there isn't a mannequin, just kind of pose and just see if I can freak anybody out.
These are the
Like, people
faceless
just
mannequins.
Yeah, I know,
the
but
ones
some
that
people just walking by, like on their phone, just kind of look at me, glimpse, and I go, ah.
We're live at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville, right next to Whole Foods on College. And these are these new school mannequins? The ones I remember at least had like hints of the eye socket.
Yeah.
They had the nose, and they all had lips. But I guess these are all just kind of mostly degendered, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, they're nice mannequins.
Well,
as far as mannequins go, I mean, I don't check out a lot of mannequins. I don't want anybody to think I'm weird or something.
They're certainly good at modeling the shirts and the hats. and the scarves, too.
They do their job quite well.
Drew, go fill up the mannequin for me.
No, I'm good.
But we're right here at the front of the store, and so we can see every car coming by. And this reminds me of it's like I remember the Christmas window and horns or gimbals back in Pittsburgh growing up. KDKA was doing their radio show right there every December. Every show in the department store window. You know, the window that they always that people were paid to design. And
Did you grow up in A Christmas Story? That's when you were looking through the window and you saw your Red Ryder BB gun?
Yeah, not quite.
Real quick, what radio station was that?
KDKA.
Is that the first original
that's right,
radio station?
10:20 a.m.
It's pretty fun fact for any radio nerds out there. If you want to know why I knew that straight off the top of my head, is because radio guidelines, every radio tower that is east of the Mississippi has to start with a call letter W. Everyone west of the Mississippi has to start with K, except for the original station in Pittsburgh.
Well, they're
the only one that gets
And I don't want to turn this into too much like radio trivia. There is one more station in Pittsburgh that also has a K. I don't think they actually went under KQV, old news station, and I don't think is doing that anymore. Anyway.
There's going to be a quiz later, so I hope
fun fact for radio nerds, if there are any out there.
And we had a text out of the 479 that was begging us to break down the triple option. As I felt like we already did that 2 or 3 times. We did A gap, B gap, C gap, D gap.
You made me do 3 hours of research on Wednesday night, and then I was able to do 30 seconds before you told me to knock it off. It's fine. I'm still not. It's not like I'm bitter or anything. I've just spent a lot of time breaking it down, getting out diagrams, charts, statistics, and everything else. And you just
more of a pop quiz on the triple option later on in the show, I think.
Okay.
We'll get with Gino Bell about that. His pop quiz on defending the triple option.
Did he ever play against a school that ran the triple option?
Doubtful. Doubtful, but in the mid to late 90s, chances are now
would have been greater than
I
today,
doubt that even then, that there were that many schools that used this style of offense. All right, so what's your weekend like? And specifically, what's your Saturday like tomorrow? How many screens do you plan on popping up at the same time? Because, I mean, this Arkansas-Georgia Southern game hopefully is a game that gets a little bit out of hand on the second half, and so you might start to focus in on other games. I mean, 30 minutes before Arkansas kicks off with Georgia Southern, you get Alabama and Florida.
Yep.
So, I mean, there are 7 top 25 teams playing tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
That's kind of unheard of. Mostly you would think that they'd be slotted for 2:33 or 6:30.
There's a couple
maybe
of
even 7.
There's actually a few pretty good games that are mixed in there. Nebraska Oklahoma is a blowout.
Yeah, of course.
A&M New Mexico State blowout. Though I'm interested to watch A&M because I want to watch Zach Calzada, this new quarterback that they're throwing in there with Haynes King injury, and I want to watch this defense and get a sense of what they might do against Arkansas. Cincinnati, Indiana, probably a pretty good game.
Should be.
IU did bounce back after their opening loss against Iowa. Bearcats go to Notre Dame next week. I mean, these are the games they have to win if they're going to
have a chance
at a playoff
playoff
chance and burn right through the American Conference. Vatech at West Virginia, that's a pretty good game at 11 o'clock. Coastal Carolina at Buffalo, not bad.
Buffalo's got a decent program, and obviously everybody knows the recent success of Coastal, and they're continuing into this season.
Miami figuring out a way to still be ranked. After
so
holding on
bad.
by their fingertips against App State. Michigan State is at Miami, and Northern Illinois against Michigan. Those are your top 25 teams playing at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Also at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, really exciting football with 3 SEC versus FCS games.
Wow.
Can't wait to get that going, right?
That's why my favorite week of the season, Phil, is week 3 or the second to last week, because you get these really interesting and intriguing matchups between the SEC and the FCS.
Well, here it is. It's week 2, and you're like thirsting for some of the big matchups, and you get an Alabama-Florida game that you'd hope is going to be good, but what else is happening in the SEC that you can really fire it up about? And you kind of feel the same way about the week before rivalry week in the SEC too. You're right. So the big question to be answered at 1:30 on NBC, how the heck does Purdue plan on even competing without the giant drum?
It's either going to be absolutely deflating for them because they're so used to hearing the world's largest drum, as they like to call it. I'm sure there's a bigger drum out there than at Purdue.
Oh, apparently the drum is so big that they won't even let anybody know exactly what size it is, according to the university website. But I know Notre Dame had gone through some renovations to the stadium. I didn't realize that they built a smaller tunnel, specifically so that Purdue could never bring in.
That's the only reason they did it?
Well, I would imagine. I mean, they must have known the measurements. I mean, the last time Purdue played Notre Dame,
it was
in
the
South
stadium.
Bend, they brought it through the main tunnel, and somebody must have gotten really upset. It was like, don't let them bring that thing in here. Build a smaller tunnel.
Someone in South Bend must really hate that drum.
Somebody gave money specifically for a tunnel that's small enough so that Purdue couldn't bring in what they call the world's largest drum. And Notre Dame's going to end up beating them like a drum, so it's not going to matter anyway.
No, it's probably not. Or, I mean, Purdue, on the flip side, could be so fired up that Notre Dame's being petty about not letting them bring the drum, that Purdue uses that type of energy, I guess, and is able to beat the Fighting Irish, kind of use the emotion of it like Florida State did 2 weeks ago. I mean, that's completely different situations. It's completely different emotions, but emotion's emotion.
You're
right?
hoping a drum is more a parachute, or for them in that case.
Yeah.
The Alabama-Florida game. This is the first time that they've matched up in the regular season in 7 years. Of course, they're not the cross-divisional rivalry, but they play in the SEC championship. Well, I mean, last year, pretty good game, 6-point win for Bama. They've matched up in the SEC championship game 10 times. Out of how many of these games have there been? I think there have been 28 SEC championship games. 10 of them have been Alabama versus Florida, including 3 since the last time they matched up in the regular season.
Well, that's the thing about when you play in a conference that is 14 teams or about to be 16.
This is going to change, though.
It's really hard to know your neighbors, to know who to know your conference mates, because if you go to the other division, it's like, all right, it's nice to see you. We'll see you again in 12 years. I mean, like there are still schools that I believe have not played at Missouri or A&M.
Oh, they must just hate that they've never They've never traveled to Columbia, Missouri, which is such a
Columbia's not that bad.
Wonderful place for college football. I love when Arkansas goes there and media members tweet about how the media area stinks so much. The stadium itself doesn't look so bad.
No, I've been in the stadium. I wasn't in the media area, but the stadium wasn't too bad, and it was actually under construction at the time, and I still enjoyed it.
Alabama's beaten Florida 7 games in a row by an average of almost 22 points. Saban, by the way, he's 7-1 against Florida as the Alabama coach. Lost his first matchup against them in an SEC championship game, a Tebow Florida team, but he's won 7 straight against them. He was only 2-3 against the Gators while coaching LSU, and that was a cross-division rivalry when he was coaching at LSU. Speaking of an annual ass-kicking, there will be one, again, Clemson, Georgia Tech, 73-7 last year.
Ooh.
And 6 years in a row, Clemson averaging a winning margin of almost 31 points against Georgia Tech. So definitely turn that one on ABC at 2:30.
I'm gonna take the over
on one of your screens when you're watching Alabama and Florida. Arkansas kicking off at 3. And your East-West Memphis Tigers do at the same time.
State.
No cowbells allowed inside the Liberty Bowl.
Things are the worst thing and the most annoying stuff ever.
There are Mississippi State fans who actually speak like a cowbell, so they'll be able to make the sound one way or the other. It's just the fact of being somebody from Mississippi State. All right, after the break, we are joined by Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Media and the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. You can come out and visit us at Alumni Hall next door to Whole Foods in Fayetteville, right there on College Avenue. Get yourself a hat, get yourself a coffee mug, and somebody needs to buy Drew a hog hat because he's not going to spend the money himself. Stay with us on Halftime. Beer tastes better with a hog on the front. Stop by Eastside Liquor today and pick up a new 12-pack of the Bud Light Go Hogs bottles. Stop by 9390 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. Now, back to the podcast. Live at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville, next door to the Whole Foods. You come out here, you might have a chance to win a $50 gift certificate for some of their incredible wares.
You can use that money to buy me that hog hat.
Oh, what a great idea that would be. You know who else needs a hog hat? Aaron Torres needs a hog hat. He's our friend, Aaron Torres Media, Aaron Torres Sports Podcast. And when we finally do get AT to Fayetteville, and he's been saying he'll be here for like 3 years now.
Yes. And when he finally does, me and him are going out because he seems like a really fun dude.
We'll eventually get him a hog hat. I think he'll wear one.
Oh yeah. We'll get him wearing one as me and AT stumble back and forth between bars on Dixon.
I know we're working on getting Aaron right now, and he had to be fired up the way that Arkansas beat up on Texas last week, but at the same time, I think, AT, were you kind of screaming at the TV? No, stop scoring. Yeah, it was a great win, but it not quite the way you would have liked it to go down, right?
Yeah, no, that was my only complaint. Arkansas is too good all of a sudden. Screw those guys. No, I think it was more Texas just quit defensively, but that's part on Arkansas as well. Yeah, Phil, you, me, Drew, we talked about it last week, I thought last week's slate, it didn't feel as sexy, but it was kind of a show-me Saturday, and I was looking at it more from the Texas perspective. Well, they certainly showed me something, but so did Arkansas too, baby. Woo pig suey, let's go. Big win. Big.
What was your impression from watching that game on national television? It felt like it should have been, I think it was the most watched game on cable at that moment, and I think it outdid the Michigan-Washington game. We were just impressed with the physicality of Arkansas, maybe above everything else. From what you saw out of that game, what stood out for you?
Well, two things stood out. I mean, from the Arkansas perspective, there's no doubt that the physicality is what stood out, and that Texas really, I thought they looked pretty good in Week 1 against Louisiana. And the way that Arkansas just ran the ball right at him, I thought KJ Jefferson was obviously awesome in the first half. They took a lot off of his plate in the second half. That was obviously what stood out to me from the Arkansas perspective. From the Texas perspective, I'll say this. I think I knew it, but I don't think I fully realized America really loves watching Texas fall flat on its face. I knew everybody, and I get it, like Arkansas fans, A&M fans, whatever. Everybody got a kick out of just watching Texas. They strong on their way to the SEC They think they're too good for the Big 12, even though they haven't won the Big 12 since 2009. And to see them go against, and I'm not, criticizing Arkansas, but Arkansas is probably not the best team in the SEC. It will remain to be seen, but I would venture to guess they are not the best team in the SEC. To see them lose in the manner that they did, I just was blown away by how many people genuinely loved watching them getting their butt kicked.
Oh, of course, AT. I mean, because you enjoy the failures of somebody who constantly keeps yelling, "We're back, we're back." You know how you know when you're back, AT? It's when other people start telling you that you're back. That's when you know that you have finally made it back.
Well, I talked about this a little bit on my podcast Monday, Drew, is I think the thing with Texas is, there are arrogant programs in college football and college sports in general. Ohio State has a very arrogant fan base. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I won the Big Ten every year and beat my biggest rival by 40, I'd be pretty arrogant too. I'd be pretty arrogant if I was an Alabama football fan and every year I'm winning a national title. I'd be arrogant if I was a Kentucky basketball fan and basically for the last 10 years you're in contention to win a national championship every year, last year notwithstanding. Texas, like I said, it's not... It's the arrogance without the results to back it up. And, I think even not just the SEC fan bases, but I think the Big 12 fan bases were just like, yeah, this is what we've been watching for years. They puff their chest out. They walk around with that horn on the side of their helmet like they own the whole world. And, this is what we have seen. And so to me, that's what stands out is there are plenty of arrogant fan bases in college sports, and most of them are justifiable. Maybe Arkansas baseball is like that. I don't know. Phil, you would know. I don't know how bad Arkansas baseball fans are, but it's justified with the fact that they're perennially a national championship contender under David Van Horn. And so I just look at Texas, and that's what really kind of struck me is it's the arrogance without the results to back it up. And I think that was why so many people, it really united the country. So thank you to Arkansas. In uniting the country in their hatred for Texas, everybody got a kick out of it.
I had no idea what you're talking about, those baseball fans, AT. Arkansas baseball fans are perfect in every possible way.
I love it.
10 out of 10. Sure.
That's 11 out of 10, Drew.
Now, their announcer, that's another deal for another. Right. No, I'm kidding.
Aaron, staying in the state of Texas, the story of Gary Patterson coming out, what he's basically telling the boosters, what I think every coach is saying, pay players or we will become irrelevant. They will leave. How big of an impact is NIL making since it started and it's kind of gone to the back burner of news? And just for irony, how mad do you think some of their crosstown rival SMU fans have to be hearing a coach at TCU admittingly, openly saying pay the players when they did it behind closed doors 40 years ago and it's ruined their program ever since?
A great point. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective, Drew. What stood out to me is a few things. First of all, by the way, Memphis had two all-conference players from Memphis. And, Drew, you would know this. TCU had two all-conference players from Memphis transfer in this year thanks to the one-time transfer.
And
the big offensive tackle.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Obina Eze.
And so I bring the point is it's a little Gary Patterson calling the pot calling the kettle black. We're going to fall behind, and these SEC schools pay so much, blah, blah, blah. But no, I mean, what I think it shows is it was funny. If you remember back to when name, image, likeness first started, there was really only two rules by the NCAA. It can't be pay for play, and it cannot be a recruiting enticement. Mm-hmm. And it is pretty clear that 3 months in, all it is pay for play and recruiting enticements. And there's exceptions. Bryce Young sort of kind of was a stab, whatever. The point is that was what cracked me up was like those were the only two rules, and basically no one is abiding by them. But it's the new world we live in. It's the new world we live in. It's what people wanted. I don't have any fundamental issue with it. I do think it's going to be interesting. I'll say this, is that sometimes, narratives get a little bit overblown, and there was a lot of talk about how is it going to impact the locker room and all that kind of stuff. I will be curious when, what if Quinn Ewers doesn't work out at Ohio State? I would love to know, does it really matter in that locker room? Do guys care that the fourth-string quarterback is making a crap ton of money while the team's struggling and the guys that are out on the field are not. I don't know. But, again, what happens to Quinn Ewers if he doesn't win that job? What happens to Quinn Ewers if he has to transfer? So I don't know. There's still a lot kind of to be untold about, this name, image, likeness era. It was time. I have no fundamental issue with it. But the idea that we were ever going to stop it from being a recruiting enticement and stop it from being pay for play was ridiculous. And now we're seeing the byproduct of it, where you have coaches like Gary Patterson flat out saying, if we don't pay our guys, somebody else will.
Well, I think also the world we live in is that high school players are going to play for coaches they want to play for, not necessarily going to go, here's where I think I'll make the most money. They're still choosing based upon relationships. At least that's what I hear, when I'm reading stories about kids that are being recruited and why they're making their decisions. So, with that said, and I want to transition that into this, conversation about USC, because, the whole thought is, Los Angeles, so much money to be made there, and really, that's supposed to be, the real professional team, though. They're bigger than the Rams and bigger than the Raiders, but you got to have the right coach, and Clay Helton was not the right coach. And now we get to live through the next 3 months of Urban Meyer every single week with that look on his face saying, there's zero chance that's going to happen, and all of this anticipation about the next USC coach. Man, that's just going to dominate for the next 2-3 months.
There's zero doubt. And, that was something that I was on. I was watching that game on Sunday. I was like, this guy's not going to make it 16 weeks, let alone a 4-year rebuild. Because, and I'm guilty of this as well, is I think we all thought, well, come on, he's got Trevor Lawrence and the division's down and the Texans are bad. And what do we know about the Colts? All that stuff. And, I bring it up because, I don't think I realized how bad the situation was and how bad that team is. And so because of it, I'm just telling you, I just don't see the scenario. Maybe he survives the year. Maybe he survives year 2. But he's not built for 4. This is a guy that had enough trouble keeping his head above water, physically ill when he was going into 11 games a year where he had more talent and where there were 2 games on the schedule that he could potentially lose. Now you mean to tell me that he's going to survive what looks like a 1 in 16, 3 in 14 type season, and he's going to come back and rebuild, and he's there for the long haul? I don't see it, and I'll say I don't. Would USC hire him? There's some talk about the school president was not a fan the last time around. She wasn't interested, but I'm just telling you, he is not built for the NFL. He's not going to make it. And I think you're right, Phil. I think every single time he loses, it's only going to ramp up. It's only going to get hotter. Let me say this. I'll just say this because I'm rambling. I think he's got one more college rebuild in him. I don't think he's built for the NFL. I don't think he's going to last maybe into next year just to prove the point. But I don't think he is. He's 57. He's going to take one more stab at the college game. He says he won't. He says he retired. This guy can't sit around and do nothing. And I think it's going to happen soon. I absolutely think USC is in play because it's one of the few jobs that he can justify leaving the NFL at, less than 1 year in for. Look, Nick Saban got crushed for it, and now he's an icon. Nobody's going to care in a month if he comes to USC and ends up having immediate success. So I believe he has one more rebuild in him. Is it definitively USC this year? I don't know. But the combination of his age, the fact that he just is not built for the NFL, you're right, Phil. This is going to be an effervescent, never-ending conversation.
Well, with USC deciding not to hire a search firm, do you think they've already got a short list of guys and maybe you've already been in communication with some? And who do you think, besides Urban Meyer and James Franklin's name gets thrown out there all the time, and who are some other guys that could possibly be on that short list?
Well, I'll say this, is I think that they're going to get a really good candidate. And I don't know that 2 years ago, if they had fired Clay Helton, which I think they wanted to, I don't think they would have gotten that guy. And it's really interesting we were just talking about Texas because, I think Texas kind of put together the blueprint last year of, you don't go into a head coaching search unless you have a yes from somebody that your fan base will support. And that's what happened with Steve Sarkisian. And so, USC 2 years ago, I think, wanted to get rid of Helton. They didn't have that guy. This year, the infrastructure at the school is just in much better place now. They have a real AD. They have a real school president. They're paying for, recruiting budget and facilities, and they've upgraded their staff. And so I think it's going to be appealing. I do think James Franklin is the guy if it's not Urban Meyer. He's been linked to this job forever. He's had plenty of time. If he does not want this job, to very publicly make that clear. He has not done that. But beyond him, I think Bob Stoops is still in play. I think, Luke Fickell, I don't believe is the sexiest hire, but he makes sense for the obvious ties. I don't think not having a search firm is a huge deal because the job is so good. It is going to attract somebody good, and it's just a question of who that candidate is that ultimately takes the job.
Aaron, we got to run. Appreciate you, man. Good talk, and looking forward to doing it again next week, and we'll get into Devo Davis dunking on frat boys next week, okay?
I'm telling you, we might have some other Arkansas basketball news to discuss next week. We'll leave it at that, and I look forward to it, guys.
Very interesting.
Week-long teaser there.
AT's kind of dialed into the scene. Good. He kind of is. All right, make your plans now for next Friday at 11:30 for Aaron Torres. Also make your plans for Crabtree RV Center in Alma. If you're looking for an RV, this is the dealership that's been around serving the River Valley in Northwest Arkansas for over 70 years. They're on a 17-acre, 26,000-square-foot showroom floor right there where I-40 and I-49 meet beside the Cracker Barrel in Alma. It's Crabtree RV Center, giving every family the best experience. They'll help you choose the right RV. They have the service and parts department for everything you need in between. Crabtree RV, making families' dreams come true for over 70 years and 4 generations. The inventory is at crabtreerv.com. Back at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville next.
The new Crown Royal Peach is available at Eastside Liquor, but only for a limited time. Give Dave and the crew a call at 479-452-7311 for all your game day needs this fall. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
Hear that song, Drew?
Yeah, it's a lovely song. What movie is this
That's
from?
the theme. Take a guess, as we were talking about Mannequin earlier on.
Oh, I'm guessing it's from Mannequin.
Do you know who's sitting in the chair back in Fort Smith running the show?
Mr. Matty T.
Learned enough about Matty T yet that he knows exactly the right song
He
to
always
play
does.
for the right segment. And we're bringing on Stephanie here, who's the general manager of the store here at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville, next door to the Whole Foods, right there on College. You knew where that song is from. You know the movie Mannequin?
I don't.
You don't?
I feel like I've let you down.
No, it's okay. 1988.
I don't either.
If you're running a store that's got mannequins in it, I feel like it's got to be appointment programming for you, because you're sitting right underneath a couple of them.
I am.
And be careful, because you never know when they're going to fall on you. I did learn that earlier. Lovely store. Thanks for having us out today.
Oh, I appreciate you guys coming.
And you guys, we're going to be giving away a $50 gift card.
That is true. Yes, we are.
They have to be in here in order to win it.
Yeah, so what we decided, because we think it'd be a good time before game day, is the first person to come into the store and call the Hogs
Okay.
will get a $50 gift card to Alumni Hall.
Did you guys hear that in here?
I guess, okay, nobody's paying attention, so.
Well, we can't tell you exactly what to do. You got to be listening to the show in order to do it through an approved device, like a phone or a radio, not through just your ears inside the store. So we'll whisper it next time instead.
Yeah, no kidding.
Great stuff. And you guys really have everything here and have it all out, decked out for us. If it's got a Razorback on it, it's here, which means there is no Razorback cookware, because I think you guys would have it.
No, we do have like a grill spatula.
Okay.
So that's something. But yeah, as for cookware, I've got glasses, mugs. So your basic run-of-the-mill stuff that you'd need for sure.
Yeah, and an Omaha shirt, which is right down my alley.
Yes, I mean, had to go with a red shirt today. Red felt right, and Omaha's won, which seems a little out of season, but that's okay.
Oh, they're scrimmaging now. It's okay.
Yeah, it's always baseball season, apparently.
I found myself over at Palm yesterday because I had to clean out the radio booth. They're redoing the press box. And I just happened to come upon a baseball scrimmage happening there. I think that's happening today as well, so...
Yeah.
Omaha's, it's Omaha season.
Omaha.
It's just nobody's keeping score.
Exactly, which is fine. Then we always win.
Exactly. Well, when you're scrimmaging yourself, you're pretty much the winner, but you're also the loser. But we don't like to think negatively.
No, we won't think that way.
Yes, we're optimistics here at Glass Half Full and being winners. So the thing that I've noticed about this store, and I'm new to the area, new to the Arkansas culture, and I feel like if I just spend 10 more minutes in here, that I will be an Arkansas expert, because y'all literally have everything.
It's called osmosis.
Everything I could possibly need, and I'm going to have to get a few shirts after the show, especially that Must Bust shirt. I've been seeing those on social media, and I really, really want one. I can see them right over there. Y'all seem to have plenty of them.
Oh, yeah, we just got a restock of those. So you timed it right.
Good,
Come
good.
to my store. We like to carry a lot of Be Unlimited, too, supporting local because Be Unlimited's right here in Fay. But yeah, if we have the Must Bus, we're actually going to probably be getting some more of the football shirts restocked in the next couple weeks. So this is a great place if you want to shop local. We have Be Unlimited and Charlie Southern here in store.
Well, who doesn't love local?
Exactly.
We do request that you use at least $30 of your $50 gift card for the one person who comes in here and calls the Hogs. Spend 30 of those dollars on buying Drew Barrett a hog hat so that he has one. 30 to 50 feral hogs. I meant 30 of your $50 on your gift card should be on a hog hat for Drew Barrett.
And I'd really appreciate it.
So let me ask, for the last week since the win over Texas, have you noticed an uptick in your customers' moods or in their willingness to fork over massive amounts of money for merchandise?
I will say I think we all had a little bit of a hangover on Sunday and Monday. So the week
Varying degrees, right?
the week started a little quiet, but obviously there's just this buzz that you can't explain here in town, and everyone's just really excited to be here, and they're excited for tomorrow.
So much so that we've got a tour bus pulling up right next door here.
Yeah, they bring tour buses to my store often. So
okay. Why it's shocking to us is this is another Friday for you.
Yeah, this is just normal Friday.
Well, I did notice on the sign that it's a family week at Razorback Stadium this week, and I noticed right up front y'all have got mom, dad, grandparents. I'm sure you probably got cousin shirts, everything like that. So anybody that needs all the stuff for family weekend, this is a perfect place.
Yeah, this is the great place to come for family weekend.
This is Tennessee soccer. This is Tennessee soccer that's actually walking next door to the grocery store. We need to heckle them. They're playing against Arkansas tonight.
UT.
I mean, come on. Ew. Look at this orange that's showing up here, walking in front of us.
It's honestly the worst shade of orange, right?
Burnt orange.
All right, I'll give you that.
A lot worse than the
just
big
all
orange.
the oranges. Let's just kick them
to
into
me
the sun.
personally, it's the worst.
Jen went out there to stop them and get a picture. You need to bring them inside so that they can get a look at all of this wonderful Razorback regalia.
And know that they don't have anything close to this in Knoxville.
You guys are wearing the wrong colors. The wrong colors. Gray looks great on you guys. Orange, not so much. Orange, you guys really look like you need a different, totally different color. That's something that doesn't happen every day. But then again, when a giant tour bus shows up in a college town this time of the year, usually you think maybe that's a team of some sort.
It usually is. We see it throughout the year. A lot of times, soccer, women's basketball, track and field is a big time too. So we see our competition, and they will come in here and scope things out, and sometimes buy souvenirs. So we're getting them.
Better be careful of the things they might do with those souvenirs when they get back to Knoxville.
Well, I did see a guy with an A&M hat on here earlier, which he seemed a little out of place, unless he was buying something to replace the ugly hat.
Now, that's the worst color. There's one thing I really love about everything going on inside this store right now, Stephanie. No maroon.
I know. I work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen.
And you seem to succeed pretty well.
Yeah, I'm only going to have Arkansas red. You can get out of here with your A&M maroon. You can get out of here with that Bama color. No. Cardinal or bust.
All right, so we're just waiting for someone to show up, do a great Woo Pig Suey as loud enough so that we can hear it through our headphones.
Well, we've got someone buying a hog hat right now, so...
Is that my hog hat?
Is this for my co-host right over here?
I'll wear it for the rest of the show on the stream.
It fits on his giant melon. Stephanie, thanks for having us out.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate you guys.
It wasn't so bad doing a radio segment, was it?
No, not at all.
Come out and see us at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville. And call the Hogs. If you're the first one to do it, you get a $50 gift card. And I was kidding about forcing you to spend that on Drew.
I wasn't.
Spend it on me.
Oh.
877-377-6963. Got 3 random things coming up right after this.
It's bourbon season, baby. Check out Heaven's Door, Smoke Wagon, or the new Jim Beam Bourbon Cream. Eastside Liquor has the quickest drive-through in Arkansas. Swing through today. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
And we've made it to our final hour of the week on halftime. Somebody just called the Hogs inside Alumni Hall and got himself a $50 gift certificate. I want to talk about
being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, good timing. Well, right place, right time is all a matter of really good planning.
Yes.
So this gentleman obviously realized that the moment that he would be pulling into the parking lot on College, next door to the Whole Foods at Alumni Hall, that he'd be listening to this radio station, 99.5 up here in Northwest Arkansas, And he was just coming into shot just to look, just to browse.
Just look, maybe get one. Now he's getting two.
Now he's here to B&B. He's here to browse and buy. So good for him.
No window shopping for him. No, we're doing the real deal.
No hog hat for you. He refuses.
Well, I mean, we can't give you a free $50 gift card now, but if someone still would like to come in and out of the generous nature of their heart buy me a hog hat, I still will accept.
Or just hand Drew $30 and whatever the tax
and I'll go buy it.
And
you know what? You don't need to pay tax. I'll pay tax.
It was hilarious, too. When Drew shows up here, every time we do a live show, because we did 3 of them last week, there was food.
Yes.
There were hot dogs grilled, or we did a show at a restaurant, so there was food. No food, not now.
No.
Because you don't grill hot dogs at a merch shop.
No. It would ruin. We talked about it to start the show, the great smell that classic department store smell that you get from the
scent of the inside of a brand new sweatshirt or t-shirt or hat.
And that would ruin the smell. It would ruin what the store has going on for it.
Yeah, you definitely don't have the scent of barbecue or freshly baked bread.
No.
But I don't think I'd want to smell that inside a merchandise shop anyway. All right, we got Gino Bell coming up, bottom of this hour. My partner for Learfield pregame and sideline reporter. And what I want to get into with him is, the whole idea of the letdown that I think some fans might be nervous about for tomorrow is more for me about you're not going to have that atmosphere. And maybe not have that atmosphere for another home game for this year or for a while, because you just can't manufacture that kind of excitement against a Georgia Southern. You can't.
Yeah,
not going to have as many people. It's not going to. You won't be able to get up quite as much, and the atmosphere won't be the thing that gets you fired up to go, beat down an opponent that you should win.
That you should beat.
You should beat by 22 to 30 points, maybe even more.
You hope
than
that's how it goes, and it is tough when you do play some of the lesser opponents, and nothing against Georgia Southern, but let's face it, being a Sun Belt team, they're not on the same level as Texas, and there's not the rivalry, there's not the history, the passion behind it. So it will be a little bit harder for fans to get up, but also think about it this way. Show up to the game, have fun, tailgate. That's fun regardless of who you're playing. And when the Hogs are up by 30 or 40 points, just turn to the person next to you and start sharing your favorite Texas stories. Start talking about last week and just reminiscing and kind of use it as a reminiscing event. So still plenty of reasons to go be out at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I know it's next week, Saturday, Arkansas and Texas A&M,
talk about the
2:30 CBS. Like, that atmosphere ought to be really great, but it's not a home game.
No.
So it's different, and you may end up having more people at that game than you did at the Texas game anyway, just because you can.
Yeah, bigger stadium.
And there's a lot of Razorback fans that live nearby that stadium.
And PSA, if you're going to that stadium, I learned this the hard way at the 2019 Cotton Bowl. Make sure you enter the side of the stadium where your seat is, because if you don't, it is impossible to get to the other side. You have to go all the way up,
legit impossible,
cross over, and go down.
That's right.
I was so PO'd. My brother was just like, no, we'll just go through this one, and just led the whole family in. I'm throwing him under the bus, and we just kept going level, trying to go around a concourse, going, how is there no way to the other side of this thing? And eventually I had to learn you have to just escalator and stairs all the way up to the tippy top. That's the only one that goes all the way around.
It's like a city in and of itself when you go inside there. So don't get lost. And Google Maps is probably not the way to get around that stadium. All right, as we kick off our second hour here, and we're still 5 minutes into it, let's do 3 random things with Matty T. Master Travis, back at Master Control, what sort of information are you interested in finding out about your 2 co-hosts today?
So the first thing comes about because I saw that this guy that's on the ESPN show that's after us.
Yeah, he's your favorite guy of all time.
God, man, I can't stand this guy. But I saw this clip going around of him betting that he was going to shave off one of his eyebrows, and I just want to play the last 15 seconds.
Bart Scott, right?
Bart Scott. So this is Bart Scott.
It starts, Bart. Can we have one shot? Can we have one shot? On me and D-Wood? Get this one shot. Okay, listen. Come on. I bet you that if the 49ers lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, I'll shave my eyebrow off. What say you? Oh, my goodness. What say you? Oh. What say you? Let's see. Yeah, we know you be beating your face up. You're going to be drawing your eyebrows on. Put your money where your mouth is, D-Wood. Put your eyebrows up, right one, left one. I don't care if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Anyways, so on a side note, I cannot stand that guy. I think he's a
Matty
complete
complains
hack.
about him every day.
I think he tries way too hard to be cool. It's one reference after the other, and as somebody who makes a lot of like movie references and stuff, I could be a bit of a hypocrite to say that, but can't stand the guy. But that just leads me to this question. What's the worst experience either of you have had losing a bet, or what is the most humiliating thing you've ever had to do?
Can I just say this?
I know
if you put my eyebrows against a pair of clippers or against a shaver, my eyebrows win, man. I mean, that's like taking a lawnmower over a bristle brush. It doesn't work very well.
Eyebrows of steel?
Absolutely. I mean, I could beat you down with these eyebrows. That's how dangerous they are. And it's not eyebrows, just like you too. It's an eyebrow. It's just one. It goes right over the top of my eyes.
Try to shave it in the middle and keep it
You're
done.
going to get the lovely lady to probably, pluck those things out.
I need to get a laser thing done and just...
Worst experience I had losing a bet. I really hated losing the picks to tie the first time around, and I did the polar plunge at Beaver Lake. Like, that really was painful. I thought I was that close to losing my toes. I couldn't move my toes for like 10 minutes after I got out of the damn thing.
That's why it was a punishment.
It's either that or the one time that I took on a friend of mine in a jalapeno pepper eating contest after school one day. So the kid that lived a block down from me, and we sat across the table from each other, each with a giant bowl. They were pepperoncinis. They weren't jalapenos. They were pepperoncinis, but they were really spicy. And we went bite for bite, and we finished the whole freaking jar.
Ooh.
And I lost. And then I lost again 3 days in a row after that. So I'd say that was pretty miserable.
There were some lingering side effects.
Yes.
I'm guessing there was. My most embarrassing, humiliating thing that happened to me after losing a bet actually happened right here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So set the scene. I'm 16. I'm on first year playing showcase baseball with Vision, and we're playing showcase round robin thing in Fayetteville, playing a few games of it at Baum Walker Stadium. So we're staying at the Holiday Inn right off of 49. It's no longer there. I believe now there's a Mercy Medical Clinic. It's like the first exit once you get into Fayetteville. And we're playing this game, and I can't remember what it is, but I lost so badly that my punishment was to streak buck naked down the hallway of the hotel. And
everybody here get that?
When I did it,
pop quiz end of the show.
When I did it, my teammates thought it'd be funny to throw my clothes into a locked hotel room that the only person that had another key to was the coach. So they threw my clothes into the coach's room. So I then had to proceed to hide behind an ice machine and call the coach to come unlock the door, which, one, is embarrassing. Two, I also got in trouble for being an idiot and accepting the punishment of streaking up and down the hallways of the Holiday Inn.
We've learned a lot about Drew Barrett here the last couple of days. One of the things is I really thought like getting stuffed in a locker by the bully would have been at the top of the list, but obviously is not.
And I can tell you the main culprit of this of who did it. Guy named Rudy Martin. He's a center fielder for the Omaha Storm Chasers, the AAA team of the Kansas City Royals. So if you ever see him out and about, you tell Rudy that what he did to me at the Holiday Inn.
Drew's been putting
Holiday Inn
last for the last 2 days.
Holiday Inn in Fayetteville, Arkansas. When I was 16, he was 15.
Oh boy,
was wrong of him. But I mean, if it would have been on the other shoe, I probably would have done the same thing. I probably would have thought it was just as hilarious as they all did.
I've never even met anybody that's really had stuff like that done to him. I thought that stuff only happened like in teenage comedies and stuff.
Nope. Only in Drew Barrett's life in the movies.
Bill, does Drew have one of these lists like Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison where he's like marking the names out with the lipstick and then puts it on?
I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure that I'm never on that list.
Let me say something. Rudy is a great guy. I do love Rudy. I wish him all the success and the best. Me and him are fine. But I do remember him being one of the main people of let's throw his clothes into the room.
I would also say, I mean, I can't, there's no reason to get in any of the details here, but anybody that ever did a fraternity pledgeship, you've got stuff to do.
Yeah, I got plenty of those
Not
things.
saying on this radio show.
I'm not doing that.
Maddie, what's number 2?
So now, I think it was yesterday we were talking about, or day before, about a guy dressing up as Michael Myers. Well, was there
my favorite lawyer in Galveston, that's right.
He's got a great sense of humor as far as I'm concerned. But what it was when you were a child, was there something that you found scary, and if so, do you still find it scary? And and what could be the scariest moment?
The basement, my parents' basement, which they've since redone, and so it is not legitimately like the scariest room in all of Pittsburgh. It had I mean, I really thought there was a dead body down there from when we moved in. That's how frightening this thing was. But that was also where we watched television. That's where the TV was at first. When we first got cable, it was in the basement, and it was like I would have to tiptoe downstairs thinking the monster was going to kill me before I get to the safe part of the basement, which is the couch.
Oh, yeah.
And once I get to the couch, he can't eat me. So I'm not afraid of this place anymore. Thankfully, they've redone it and put a nice paint job
That's
on it.
That's what's interesting about Monsters is that as long as you make it to the couch, you're safe. But anything in between the basement and the couch,
the rules.
Fair game.
There could actually be a rule like that out there, but my grandparents' basement in Ashland, Kentucky is one of those scary places. If you make it to, because they have a bedroom down there, if you make it to the bed, you're safe. But then going back up the stairs, you've got to hightail it before it just grabs you by the back.
What else frightens me as an adult? Irrelevance. I think it's more so than the ghost under the bed. It's irrelevance. And radio hosts do not want to be irrelevant.
No, I think I've said on this program that the thing that as a child that I was most scared of were mascots and people in costumes. They
clowns.
Clowns
can't
scared.
Wait to send
clowns
you
scared me. Apparently,
photos of clown masks on Halloween.
Mickey Mouse scared me. I cost my brother a trip to Disney World because my dad wasn't going to fork over thousands of dollars to hear me scream and cry and be scared.
Gosh, you suck.
For a
you
week.
suck as a brother.
Yeah, no, he still holds it over my head every now and then. And apparently, at a friend of mine's 3rd birthday, they had Batman there, and he came out under smoke and burst through a curtain. And apparently, according to my parents, I looked like a old-timey cartoon where the legs are moving, and he's
There's
not.
Just a cloud of smoke underneath.
Cloud of smoke, like the legs are going, but he's not moving, and that's just how fast I apparently jetted out of there. So, and to this day, I think that's a rational fear. We don't know who those people are. I didn't personally do a background check. Okay. Like, I don't know how hard the vetting is.
Just trust the dude in the furry suit. All right, he's not going to.
I mean, I'm better at it now.
Maddie, what's number 3?
Okay, so I was thinking about this. Usually with this question, it's you say, "What's your proudest moment?" Well, it's the moment my son was born. Well, I don't have a moment like that. Drew doesn't yet, as far as either of us know. Phil, you have had a moment or two like that, but.
No, those moments when my kids were born, I'm not going to classify them as the greatest moments of my life because they were also the scariest moments of my life.
And I think that's
like I'm responsible for this person for the rest of my life. I really have to do this?
Yeah, we got.
How am I going to do this? I barely take care of myself properly.
And so that's probably, I think, how I'm going to feel about it. But the question is, what is your proudest moment? And Phil, I feel like Phil, you got a lot to choose from.
Well, no, so there is a moment that stands out for me, and it was the moment that I was offered the Arkansas Travelers radio job, which is what brought me to Arkansas. This would have been December of 2000 is when I was offered the job. And that was a moment for me where I just felt like, I was still at the infancy of my career. It felt like, oh, man, wouldn't it be awesome to get a AA job after 1 year at single A? And it was just a moment of, pride is the word, but it also was like a justification of the direction that I took in life, and it just kind of helped propel me, I hope, to what I'm doing today. So I would choose that day. I would choose that moment because I remember getting down on my knees and reaching up to the skies and exulting and screaming with joy and excitement. So that's the one I'd pick.
That proudest moment. I mean, if I was going to go along those lines, it would be when Tommy obviously offered me this job of, wanting me to be more than just a producer, which was what I was in Memphis. And it was a good moment for me to know that somebody believes in me and has faith in me and wants me to be a part of their station and a part of their plan going forward. So that would probably be, as far as a professional one, be that, or graduating college I was pretty proud of. And I did it on time, did it in 4 years, almost graduated cum laude. If I didn't get so drunk the last semester, I would have done that. But still graduating college was still a pretty proud moment.
Maddie, what do you got?
Oh, gosh. Now I'm on the spot because I can't think of one.
Well, why don't we go to Eddie? Well, let's bring Eddie on, and we'll ask him the same question, and then we'll get your moment. Okay, Maddie?
Texas.
All right, Eddie in Clarksville is with us right here. And Eddie, 2 things for you. One, I appreciate that you're giving me a license here to maybe start a Twitter account that just is your texts, because it is that entertaining. And what is the proudest day of your life, and why was it Saturday's win over Texas?
Well, those are good questions, sir. You know, probably the proudest moment in my life is my son being born. As every parent loves their kid, certainly I love my son, Tyler, and certainly ended his life in a tragic way. But I come an advocate of suicidal work, and certainly this fan base embraced me. Nobody I'll forever remember it, sir, as a knock at the door. And it was just devastating. He wasn't, through life, he wasn't always a Hog fan. I kind of let him have his own identity. But later in life, he was a Hog fan. And I kind of look at him at the heavens above that he's looking down, and even he is calling the Hog. And so
Eddie, I have a question.
Special.
I have a question off of that. How in the world is anybody who is not a dyed-in-the-wool Razorback fan able to spend any moments around you without their life totally changing? Is this at all possible?
Well, sir, I'm glad you asked that, sir. I just had one of those moments. I'm going through some health issues right now, and had to meet at the John Rockefeller Institute of Cancer at UMS at Little Rock. I got to meet with a surgeon. I think he posted it on Facebook. But I could tell when he came in and talked to me, I'm looking at surgery down the line. He was wearing his head bandana was hauled. I said, "Sir, are you a Razorback fan?" And he said, "Well, sir, I become a Razorback fan, and before I left, we were calling the Hogs." How great is that? Mm-hmm. And I think that's taking place all over the country. How great is that? This win Saturday, sir. I mean, there's fans across the country jumping aboard the Hog train. They're not even Hog fans. How great is that?
I agree, Eddie, and it really feels. Hey, a win over Georgia Southern and a win over Texas A&M is going to create a lot more fans too. And this is the first time I've heard you talk about issues with your health. I really hope that that you're able to.
Prayers for you, Eddie.
That you're able to. Obviously you've got the right doctors and you're in the right place to take care of this. But all my thoughts are with you, man. I think Razorback fans would feel exactly the same way. That's whether or not they enjoy your calls. I'll say that. So, Eddie, thanks for calling in and. Get healthy. We mean that 100% all the way. All right. 877-377-6963.
I did think of my moment.
It is? All right.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It wasn't something I did, but it was when I was in my early 20s and joined my grandfather for this ceremony. He was a chief master sergeant, and seeing him honored by some current master sergeants in the military really broke me down and made me realize that this old guy, that was just my grandfather, had lived this whole other life before I ever knew him. And to see these guys respecting him like that was the proudest moment of my life.
Yeah, that's a proud moment.
That is a good moment, Matty. And thanks for I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Way to make us feel selfish because we pick moments about ourselves.
Yeah, about ourselves. It's pure radio host for you right there. All right, we'll be back after the break. Quick segment. Gino Bell joining us in about 10 minutes-ish. Halftime at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville. Come out and see us. Beer tastes better with a hog on the front. Stop by Eastside Liquor today and pick up a new 12-pack of the Bud Light Go Hogs bottles. Stop by 9390 Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. Now, back to the podcast. We've got text coming in here wishing Eddie in Clarksville well and health. 877-377-6963 if you want to send those well wishes into him, and I'll forward them to Eddie. Because he and I have become texting buddies.
That you have.
Isn't that different than I would have thought even a year ago? Hey, September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and those of us here at ESPN Arkansas have joined forces with the Arkansas Prostate Cancer Foundation to make sure that all men know that you need to get tested between the ages of 45 and 75. This could help save your life. Prostate cancer is the most common cancer affecting Arkansas men. You can go to arprostatecancer.org. 1 in 9 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during his lifetime. Unfortunately, all of the treatment options have side effects: erectile dysfunction, urinary leakage, bowel complications. There is a therapy that can help with the side effects when used with radiation therapy. It's called SpaceOAR Hydrogel. You can go to spaceor.com to learn more about the risks and benefits. That's spaceor.com. OAR.com, spaceor.com, sponsored by Boston Scientific. All right, quick call here. Then we got to take the break with Gino Bell coming up next segment. JW on hold. Hey, JW, what's going on? You're on halftime.
Well, I was going to tell you about the worst bet that I've ever lost. It was back
how many? Something tells me you've lost a few more bets than
something tells me the story ends.
No, this was a Texas guy. I was staying at the DoubleTree, but I'd down in Little Rock, but I'd ventured out to one of the sports bars and watched the game. And after we got our butt kicked by Texas A&M, I said, "Forget this," and I wandered back to the hotel. So I go into the hotel, go into the bar there, and there's a guy there wearing the Aggie stuff, and he says, "Oh, too bad you lost, but you got a chance of redemption." I said, "What's that?" He says, "We're going to have a little contest here to see if you people from Arkansas can hang with us Texas people in anything." So Cheryl, the bartender, brings out a jar of jalapenos.
Ooh.
We take a jalapeno, chew on it, and then shoot it with tequila. After about 4 or 5 of those, he says, "Little Peg Sooie, I'm going to my room." I'm still standing. Cheryl says, "That ain't nothing. I was raised South Texas. I'll show you something else." So what she did, she took an old-fashioned glass, poured a shot of tequila in it, and then poured a shot of straight jalapeno pepper juice out of the jar. And then I throw that down. Oh, Lord.
I'm waiting for the worm. J-Dub, I'm waiting for the worm. I haven't heard the worm yet.
What do you call that? And I said, "I know what it's called." And she said, "Wow, we haven't got a name for it." I said, "I think that's called a nuclear explosion. I'm out of here."
Yeah, a nuclear explosion then and for the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
Once I heard the 4th or 5th one, I kind of was just like, I know the direction this is going. All right, it sounds like he is hung up. So we'll step aside, and Gino Bell will join us after the break, and we'll get into Arkansas versus Georgia Southern, and maybe the terms that the kids are using these days, like lit.
Getting lit on the sideline.
Gino's got all the dance moves on the field and all of the terms that the
on the
kids
sidelines?
are using. I'd pay money to watch Gino Bell floss on the sidelines. Yeah, that's next.
The new Crown Royal Peach is available at Eastside Liquor, but only for a limited time. Give Dave and the crew a call at 479-452-7311 for all your game day needs this fall. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
Let's bring on Gino Bell, former Razorback and a member of the broadcast crew. Joins me and Rick Schaefer for the Learfield pregame. Then he's on the sidelines during the game.
Where it gets lit.
And it gets lit. And the chains get dropped. So you can hear him laughing back there because we use that.
It's in our open now.
Gino, that's in our open. It's lit down here as part of our open. So congratulations for already contributing to our show.
Man, that's outstanding. I tell you, the win last week, it definitely was lit. It was completely off the chain. I have not seen Razorback Stadium that full, that much excitement in a very long time, and it is great to see that Razorback energy come back to Fayetteville.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how do you recreate that? Which, of course, you can't recreate that for tomorrow. And for me, going into this game against Georgia Southern, like that's the story for me. You know, part of the reason that it seemed Arkansas played so well against Texas, and this is outside of the physical attributes of, you know, what they showed, the atmosphere, the fans, the rivalry, national TV, the spotlight around the nation was on Fayetteville. You don't have any of that tomorrow. You don't even have a Power 5 opponent. So I feel like we'll learn a bit about this team and their ability to get up for an opponent that they need to beat badly.
Yes, and I would tell you, Arkansas is not good enough to overlook any opponent. We're just not getting back on the winning wagon just over this year. I mean, we're very fortunate to start the game and this year with 3 home games, and that played to our advantage. And, you know, last week was a great game. You know, we were able to make some ground beef last week, and the one thing I called Texas was 50 Cent because they were only able to score in 2 quarters. And so that was the great thing to be able to see. But also, as we look forward to this week, we cannot be having a hangover. We need to come out and attack. We need to be able to put points up. And the one great thing that this team has done over the past 2 games that I anticipated to be, again, this week is the running game. when you think about the running game, when you have a four-headed monster in the background, in the backfield, where we rush for 333 yards and 4 touchdowns in the win, I mean, that's outstanding. We dominated Texas from the start and finish. We won on the offense and defensive line, and everybody knows that's how you win in this league in the SEC. It's starting with the offensive defensive line, and we dominated up front. And so when we get into the game this week, we need to not pick up where, we need to pick up where we left off. We need to go in and dominate, and this will be a perfect opportunity for more players to play and also continue to build our depth as we go into first SEC play next week against Texas A&M.
Yeah, got to keep the momentum going, got to keep the intensity up, can't take any weeks off, and we know what happens if you take weeks off later in the season. You get beat, and you get beat pretty bad against SEC opponents. But you're the perfect person to talk about this. And Georgia Southern running a triple option, and when you, as a defensive lineman, when you play a team that runs triple options, you got to watch out for your knees. How concerned are you about defensive lineman injuries this week when you face a triple option team that really likes to go low?
I would tell you, in my mind, I'm pretty sure they worked on that this week to ensure you get your hands on the opponent. That's the great thing about defensive line. It's all about technique, hand placement, and play with your eyes. And when you play a triple option, back in my day, that was big. And for those who know the 90s football, that was real big with Nebraska football, right? The triple option with Tommy Frazier. But teams have got away from that to more of the spread. But when we get into the triple option this week, it's all about discipline and play with your eyes. So as a defensive lineman, you have to ensure that the dive is taken. The linebacker has the quarterback, and the safety coming downhill has the pitch. We don't need anybody to be heroes this week. You got to play gap control defense, play your technique, but most importantly, trust your eyes and make the play.
You mentioned something just a moment ago, Gino, about defensive line play, which I think is difficult to see, on television or from anywhere in the stands, and it's how you use your hands. And you're down there on the field now, so you probably get a much better look at how the defensive linemen utilize their hands in order to get leverage. And that's one thing that I forget who it was that brought it up, because it wasn't John Ridgway. He was speaking about John Ridgway and how his athleticism is noticeable with his hands, and pointed out that he was a state wrestling champion in Illinois. So, I don't know if I'm, to ask you if you've seen something from his hands or whatever like that, but I mean, this is the kind of thing that you can't necessarily get a sense on television as to why defensive linemen are playing as well as they are.
I would say the one thing that I will tell everybody who's listening is the coaching staff is outstanding. When you see those defensive linemen come off the football, they lead with their hands. Their head doesn't hit first. And so they're able to get extension. They're locking their hands inside, and they're able to come off the block. So the first thing they tell you, when you feel the pressure of where the offensive linemen want to push you, you know to go against it because the ball is going right behind that lineman. But the one thing I take my hats off to Coach Pittman and the entire coaching staff is that we did an outstanding job in the transfer portal. When you think about the three defensive linemen that we brought in, the 2 from Missouri and Ridgway from Illinois State, I mean, I didn't know what to anticipate from an Illinois State player coming in, but he played big-time football last week. 6'5", he's big. He was able to take up a couple blocks. And when you look at a defensive line that's running 3 and you can take on 5, that's where you see the linebackers roam. And like Hayden Henry last week had 15 tackles. He wouldn't be able to do that if those offensive linemen were coming off and getting to the second level. And so I say the defensive lineman is playing outstanding. We need to continue that into this week because that's going to gear us up for this SEC run that we're getting ready to go on.
Gino, body language says so much about how a person is feeling about him or herself or the group that they're a part of. And you've done seasons where Arkansas was coached by Chad Morris. Now in the second season of Sam Pittman as the head coach. And I know you're laughing back there, so you know exactly what I'm asking about. But, I mean, it's noticeable on the field there's a difference. I can only imagine when you're watching them on the sidelines, like it's night and day, in the attitude of this team during the game. Because I'm watching them a little bit from up in the booth, and then the sideline, man, everybody seems locked in for the most part.
And I totally agree with that. Coach Pittman has done an outstanding job coming in, set the expectations. And the one thing I've learned in my playing career and also my professionalist career, people don't rise to low expectations. And so he set the bar high, and he's a player's coach. I've talked to several players, and they love him because he's a man of his word, and that's what you can respect. The other thing when you talk about this team is that he's a big, perfect practice make perfect. And I continue to hear people say, yeah, you got to practice hard. But it's just not practicing. It's ensuring that you're practicing the right thing. And when you practice hard, when you get into the game, it's easy. Because as we saw with Texas, they wasn't ready for the physicality that we brought. Because to play in this conference, you have to be physical. Coach Pittman is physical in practice. He expects perfection. And then when we get in the game, you have fun. The other thing that I think Coach Carter does an outstanding job on the sideline, as well as Coach Browse, they make adjustments. They don't wait till you get to halftime to make adjustments. They're having conversations with the players on the field, coming off and saying, this is what I'm hearing upstairs from the booth. What are you seeing? And they get on the whiteboard. That's one thing that was missing that actually reminds me of my days playing, and even under Coach Nutt, the way these players get on the whiteboard with the coaches. And that's one thing I love to see, because everybody is immersed in the game and really trying to accomplish what they need to get the win.
Gino, you talked earlier about the run game that we've seen the last 2 weeks, and that hopefully will continue into week 3. And now that you've established that run game, do you think this is the game in the week where we get to see KJ really open it up with the arm, and Treylon Burks has that big game that – while he's had good games first 2 weeks, he hasn't really had that game, if you know what I mean, yet. Is this the week for it?
I would tell you this is the week. I know most people say, they want KJ to throw the football, but it's hard to throw the football when you're running up 330 yards on the ground. Mm-hmm. It's not forcing you to run. When you look at the offense last week, we only punted twice. And so to me, that lets me know that we're moving the football down the field. We're average 7.1 yards a play. That's almost a first down every time we touch the football. And so when you think about the things that we're doing, the things that we're doing are great. And so people say, can KJ throw the football? Of course he can throw the football. When you look at what he did against Missouri last year, we know he can throw the football. And then this year, he hadn't thrown the ball much. But when you look at the Rice game and you come around and look at last week's game, his percentage increased significantly. He went from the low 50s, I believe it was, the week before against Rice. He completed 73% of his passes last week. He did not get sacked one time last week. And so when you think about the offense, I truly believe the passing game is predicated on the run. And when we set the run up, it's definitely going to open up the pass. And so this week, I believe this is going to be big. Georgia Southern has a very weak passing defense. And so this will be a perfect opportunity to get Treylon Burks the ball, get him going, because we really hadn't had to depend on him. But it'll be good to get him going and then see who's our second and third receivers, because we're going to need to know who they are as we get into SEC play.
We'll wrap it up here with Gino in a moment. Drew, last year, the broadcast crew traveled via a tour bus from Justin Moore's tour bus company,
really, for
all of the road games, and it was just the broadcast crew that traveled while the football team flew. So Gino, I know you get to fly with the team this year. You've got to be missing the bus and the road trips and everything that went into, and you've got a full-time job too. And from what I understand, you were working pretty hard while you were on the bus last year.
Yes, I did, and I have a full-time job that definitely takes up a lot of time, and I love what I do during the day. But I think I will miss the bus games. I was actually having a conversation with my son, Nicholas. He plays over at Bentonville West, and he asked me that same question. And I said yes, because the one thing that we did on the bus, we spent several hours together, and I had the opportunity to get to know Z very well. I had the opportunity to get to know Chuck and Quinn, not just on the plane ride and dinner, but we spent hours together. I think that Florida trip was the longest trip, but that's what I enjoy much about football and the broadcast team. We all love Razorback football. We all want it to be great, but most importantly, I have the opportunity to work with great individuals that's good at their craft, but most importantly, they're great men and great men of character, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Gino, looking forward to doing it with you tomorrow at Razorback Stadium, Arkansas versus Georgia Southern. And bring your dancing shoes, because I know you're always ready to moonwalk across the field.
Oh, yeah, definitely ready to move and feel. I just want to say, since you've been on the broadcast, you've been a breath of fresh air. Appreciate everything you're doing and your preparation, and you make all of us better. So I look forward to working with you. It's been great, but I also look forward to the rest of the season. So you have a great day, Phil.
You too, Gino. Appreciate that very much.
Thanks, Gino.
It's Gino Bell from the Arkansas Football Radio broadcast. We're brought to you by The Fence Man. If you're in a business that needs a little more security or just want it to look better, a new fence from The Fence Man can do both of those things. They've been in business for more than 40 years, custom installing all types of fencing, gates, and controlled access for your business. The Fence Man also features 18-month same as cash financing. 479-782-3936 for The Fence Man. He ain't afraid of no work. Wrapping up halftime with some football picks for the weekend.
It's bourbon season, baby. Check out Heaven's Door, Smoke Wagon, or the new Jim Beam Bourbon Cream. Eastside Liquor has the quickest drive-thru in Arkansas. Swing through today. Now, let's get back to the podcast.
Harrison Avenue. Best cigars you'll find anywhere in the state. Outstanding drinks. Top shelf spirits. The food's great. All in an atmosphere that feels less than a lounge and more like a high-class night out. They're open until 1 a.m. tonight and tomorrow. And you can go to their Facebook page for specials and events. 906lounge.com is the website. 906 Garrison Avenue in Fort Smith. 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge. All right, we got football games to pick for this weekend, and I stink right now doing this.
That you do.
I feel like I kind of need a couple of days lead time so I know what games
we will
we're
go
picking.
over the current standings. I am, of course, in the lead after going 5-1 last week.
Of course.
Phil, Matty is in second place. He went 3 for 3 last week, and Phil is dead last, 3-9 overall, 2-4, better than your first week of 1-5. So you are slowly
Trending
but surely
upward.
improving. All right.
Trending upward, but of course you're in the lead.
Of course I am. All right, week 3 college football picks start with the big one in the SEC. Alabama minus 14.5 points in the swamp at Florida.
Florida does not have the offense to keep up. Not at all. This is Alabama all the way. I think it's going to get away from Florida pretty quickly.
I'm with you. I think I don't think Florida has the offense to keep up with them. I don't think they have the defense to really stop them. And Bryce Young has shown us that he is truly that special and that they have definitely reloaded once again. Maddie, do we have a show lock? What does the quarter say?
The quarter, which is also the quarter I use at Aldi to get a shopping cart, it says Alabama.
All right, we have a show lock in Game 1. Game 2 at 11 o'clock on Fox. Nebraska at OU minus 22.5. I'll go first. OU definitely wins the game. I don't think anybody would be shocked by that pick there. But I think Nebraska covers. Old Big 12 rival. A lot to get up for. If Nebraska covers and keeps it close, I'm not saying they have to win, but Nebraska keeps it close and keeps that fan base engaged, could save Scott Frost's job.
This game's played in Norman, right?
Yes.
It's in Norman?
It is.
This is going to get away from Nebraska. They don't have the defense to hang in this game.
Okay. Phil's going with the Boomer Sooners. Maddie T.
Give me heads.
Maddie is going with Nebraska as well. Good pick there, Maddie. Game 3, Virginia Tech versus West Virginia in Morgantown. West Virginia is minus 2.5. Maddie, what does the quarter say?
It's heads again.
It is heads. He's going with Justin Fuente and the Virginia Tech Hokies. Phil, who you got?
I'm going to pick West Virginia in this one. That's a tough place to win, and I think this will be the end of the ACC having a shot at somebody advancing into the national championship conversation.
Country Road, take Phil home for that pick. I'm going to be with Matty T. I'm going to trust old ball coach that I knew pretty well in Justin Fuente. I'm going to take the Hokies. Game number 4, AAC versus the Big Ten. Number 8, Cincinnati going in to where Phil attempted to graduate college. He attempted college. He pretended college.
A mild attempt at going to school.
At Indiana. Cincy minus 3.5 at Indiana. Phil, are you going to take your almost alma mater?
I took them in the game against Iowa, and I've learned a lesson from that. Cincinnati is going to win this game and then set their sights on Notre Dame.
I'm with you there. No complaints. Wouldn't change a thing. 3 out of 5 stars for what you just said. So I will also go with Cincinnati. Maddie, who you got?
I'll go with Tails.
Tails. Maddie is going with the upset. He's going with the Hoosiers. Second to last game, an old SEC rematch of Tulane at the Grove in Ole Miss. Ole Miss Land Sharks are -14.5. I'm going to go with Tulane. Tulane played very well against OU, who's still a top 5 program in the country. We know that they can score and that they have somewhat of a defense. Ole Miss still, however, not really sure how good they are on the defensive side of the ball. Ole Miss wins, but I'm taking the Green Wave to cover.
14.5 points, I'll take the Green Wave.
All right. Do we have another show lock, Maddie?
Heads.
Heads, we have another show lock.
Did you see the helmets that Tulane's wearing? It looks like a big stick of broccoli.
Oh, I love them. I retweeted them this morning. All right.
The fighting broccoli.
FCS Game of the Week. We have Morehead State at Austin Peay in Clarksville, Tennessee. Maddie, who you got in the FCS Game of the Week?
Oh, I told myself I'd never pick this team, but it says Tells.
So let's go Peay. All right. Let's go Peay for Maddie.
Let's all go Peay together, guys.
They actually do
laugh,
yell that, right?
But that's their website.
That
that's the website. It's letsgopea.com.
That's their big chant.
Yeah, they're the governors.
That they are, Phil.
I'm going to take the Govs.
Phil is taking the Governors. I have to take Morehead State. It's actually my mother's alma mater, so I am going with the Eagles from Morehead, Kentucky, and that concludes our picks for the week.
All right, and we've made it to the end of the week here on Halftime. Thanks to the folks at Alumni Hall for having us out here today. You need to stop out at Alumni Hall in Fayetteville and College, right next to Whole Foods, and it's a great place to get anything you need for a Razorback event, a Razorback game, or just stuff to decorate your house so that everybody knows exactly who you root for.
Still plenty of time to buy me that hog hat.
Yeah, you got about 15 seconds to buy him the hog hat. Any takers?
I'll stick around.
Any takers?
I'll stick around for 5-10 minutes. I might buy me a shirt.
No one's interested in doing that for you, Drew. Back with you guys tomorrow. Have a great weekend. For Drew, for Maddie, this is Phil. Get up, get out, get better.
You're listening to the Eastside Liquor Halftime Podcast. Check out the Bud Light Morning Rush Podcast at hitthatline.com.
This podcast has been presented by BetOnline.